People are getting robbed on airplanes, not from checked bags, from their carry-on, right there in the cabin, while they're sitting in their seats. And here's what makes this even more concerning. Seniors are often the easiest targets, not because they're doing something wrong, but because thieves already know exactly what to look for. They're not guessing, they're studying. And in the next 12 minutes, you'll learn 11 specific mistakes seniors make on flights that quietly signal to thieves, this is the one. So as you watch this, keep one thing in mind. The biggest mistake is coming at the end, and most people never even realize they're doing it. Mistake 11. You show too much while boarding. Boarding might feel like a routine part of travel, but for someone looking to steal, it's the most valuable moment of the entire flight. This is when they quietly scan the cabin and observe who is carrying what, how people handle their belongings, and where those items are placed. Seniors often take a bit more time getting settled, which is completely normal, but that extra time creates visibility. If you open your bag, adjust something inside, or reposition items before placing it in the overhead bin, that small action can reveal more than you think. There was an older traveler who briefly unzipped his bag to move something around before storing it above. Someone nearby noticed exactly where a smaller pouch was located. Nothing happened immediately, but later in the flight, that pouch disappeared without any noise or disturbance. That's how early the decision is made. It's not random, and it's not rushed. It begins the moment you board. And once they've quietly marked you during boarding, the next thing they look for is when your bag becomes completely out of your control. Mistake 10. Your bag is out of sight. It might feel like a small decision to place your carry-on wherever there's space, especially if lifting it nearby feels inconvenient or uncomfortable. Many seniors choose the easiest available spot, even if it's several rows behind them. But the moment your bag is out of sight, you lose awareness of it completely. You can't monitor it, you can't react to movement, and you won't notice if something changes. Thieves don't need much time. They rely on quick moments when you're relaxed, distracted, or simply focused elsewhere. If your bag is behind you, it creates a perfect blind spot. A better approach is placing it across the aisle and slightly in front of your seat, where your natural line of sight can keep track of it without effort. This small shift doesn't feel like much, but it removes a huge opportunity for someone watching you. And once the flight settles in, there's another moment where almost everyone becomes vulnerable without realizing it. Because even if your bag is perfectly placed, there's a moment where awareness drops completely. And it happens when you close your eyes. Mistake 9. You sleep unprotected. Sleep changes your awareness instantly. The moment you drift off, you're no longer tracking what's happening around you, and that's exactly what makes it such a perfect opportunity for theft. On longer or overnight flights, this becomes even more pronounced. Seniors often focus on comfort, adjusting pillows, using blankets, settling into a position that allows them to rest properly. But while your body relaxes, your surroundings fade away completely. There was a woman traveling alone who kept her purse beside her, thinking proximity meant protection. She woke up mid-flight and realized it was gone. No sudden movement, no noise, no clear moment where it happened. That's what makes these situations so difficult. They're silent and precise. If your valuables are not physically attached to you while you sleep, they're essentially unguarded. And what's surprising is that even when you're fully awake, there are still ways you might be signaling opportunity without realizing it. Because sometimes, you don't need to be asleep to become a target. Just leaving something visible can be enough. Mistake 8. You leave things visible. Visibility plays a huge role in how thieves make decisions. It doesn't have to be something flashy. Even small, everyday items can attract attention if they're easy to see. Seniors often keep things within reach for comfort, placing phones on tray tables, wallets partially out, or handbags slightly open for convenience. But from a distance, this creates a clear signal. It tells someone exactly what you have and how easy it would be to take it. There was a passenger who briefly turned to adjust their seat while their phone rested beside them. In that short moment, someone walking past casually picked it up and continued moving. No rush, no panic, just timing. That's how quickly it happens. The easier something looks to access, the more likely it becomes a target. Next time you fly, where do you usually keep your phone? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious how most people handle this. And what makes this even more risky is the one place almost everyone uses, thinking it's completely safe. Mistake 7. You trust the seat pocket. The seat pocket feels convenient, familiar, and harmless. It's right in front of you, easy to access, and seems like the perfect place to keep small items. But in reality, it's one of the most exposed spots on the entire plane. It's open, visible, and positioned in a way that makes it easily accessible from the aisle. Seniors often use it for important things like passports, glasses, or wallets simply because it's within reach. But that same accessibility works for anyone passing by. There was a traveler who kept their passport there for the entire flight, only to realize it was missing when it was time to disembark. The person who took it didn't need more than a second or two, and during busy moments, that kind of quick movement goes completely unnoticed. Here's where things get even more interesting. Sometimes it's not about where your items are, it's about who keeps showing up near you. Mistake 6. You ignore movement around you. Not everyone stays in their seat the entire flight, and sometimes that movement isn't random. Some individuals move around intentionally, scanning the cabin, observing behavior, and positioning themselves near specific passengers. They may switch seats briefly, stand in the aisle longer than necessary, or create small reasons to be nearby. Seniors traveling alone are often observed more closely because they're perceived as less reactive. There was a case where a man repeatedly changed seats during a flight, and later multiple passengers reported missing items. It wasn't chaotic or obvious. It was subtle and controlled. Awareness of who is moving around you and why can make a big difference in preventing these situations before they happen. But even if you notice everything around you, one simple assumption can still make you an easy target. And if this is helping you see things a little differently, make sure you subscribe. Because these are the kinds of small details most people only learn after something goes wrong. And by then, it's already too late. Mistake 5. You trust the plane too much. Being inside an aircraft feels secure. There are people around you, crew members nearby, and a structured environment. Seniors often feel reassured by this, which is completely natural. But that sense of safety can lower your awareness without you realizing it. There was a couple traveling comfortably who believed their belongings were completely safe simply because of the setting. Yet during the flight, something quietly disappeared without any disturbance. No one noticed, and nothing seemed out of place. The environment itself doesn't prevent theft, behavior does. And when you rely too much on the setting, you stop paying attention to small details that actually matter. And what makes this even more dangerous is that there are specific moments where everyone's attention drops at the same time. Mistake 4. You relax at the wrong time. There are very specific moments during a flight when theft becomes much easier, and the reason is simple. Everyone is distracted at the same time. Boarding, meal service, and landing are the 3 biggest windows. During these phases, people are standing up, opening overhead bins, adjusting seats, reaching for items, and focusing on themselves. Seniors often use these moments to get comfortable, organize belongings, or prepare for arrival, which naturally shifts attention away from their surroundings. There was a passenger who opened the overhead bin during landing preparation, simply to grab their bag early and avoid the rush. Everything looked normal, but later, after stepping off the plane, they realized something small but valuable was missing from inside. It didn't happen in darkness or isolation. It happened in plain sight, during a moment when no one was really paying attention. These high-activity periods create the perfect cover because movement feels normal and expected. When everyone is doing something, small actions blend in easily. Have you ever opened your bag early before landing just to save time? Most people do. I'm curious, yes or no? And even if you stay alert during these chaotic moments, one simple habit can still make everything easier for a thief. Mistake 3. Everything is in one bag. Keeping all your valuables in a single bag feels organized and stress-free. You know exactly where everything is, and you don't have to think twice about it. For many seniors, this approach makes travel simpler and more manageable. But from a risk perspective, it creates a single point of failure. If that one bag is accessed, even briefly, everything inside becomes vulnerable at once. Thieves prefer this because it saves them time. They don't need to search or take risks in multiple places. There was a traveler who kept their wallet, passport, cash, and electronics all in one neatly organized carry-on. At some point during the flight, someone accessed the bag unnoticed. By the time it was discovered, multiple important items were gone. Spreading your essentials doesn't complicate your travel. It protects it. Keeping critical items on your body while storing less important things separately forces a thief to work harder, and most won't bother. But here's something even more unexpected. Sometimes the risk doesn't come from where you put your items. It starts when you let someone else handle them. Mistake 2. You accept help blindly. Accepting help during boarding or settling in is completely normal, especially when lifting bags or finding space. Seniors are more likely to accept assistance, which makes sense and is often necessary. But these moments also create a brief window where someone gets a closer look at your belongings. When someone lifts your bag, adjusts it, or places it in the overhead bin, they may notice how it opens, where items are placed, or whether anything valuable is easily accessible. There was a situation where a passenger accepted help from someone nearby to place their bag overhead. It seemed like a kind gesture, but that same person later returned during the flight and accessed the bag quickly, already knowing exactly where to reach. It's not about avoiding help, it's about staying aware of what becomes visible during that interaction. Even a few seconds of exposure can be enough for someone to make a decision. All of these small moments lead to one final mistake. The biggest one, the one that quietly puts everything else into motion. Mistake 1. You don't know you're chosen. The biggest mistake isn't something obvious like leaving your bag open or falling asleep. It's not realizing that the decision has already been made long before anything happens. Theft on airplanes isn't random. It's selective. Thieves observe patterns, behavior, and small signals to decide who is worth the risk. They look for ease, visibility, predictability, and low resistance. Seniors are often chosen not because they're vulnerable, but because they're perceived as less likely to question, react quickly, or confront a situation. And once someone has been identified as a target, everything that follows becomes easier for the thief. The positioning of the bag, the moment of distraction, the visible items, all of it connects. But here's the important part. The moment you change even a few small behaviors, you completely remove yourself from that category. Awareness alone can shift how others perceive you. And once you understand that this is about selection, not chance, you start traveling with a completely different mindset. Because the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to make sure that when a thief is scanning the cabin, they skip right past you. Do you know what thieves notice before they choose which checked luggage to steal? Then this video is must watch for you. Click here and I'll see you in the next moment.